once you have the circle on the bottom of your piece, you're going to add pressure and shape your piece using a wooden spatula. Now this is a big one. If you have a smaller one, it's probably a little bit easier, or a round one if you have a round one. And you just want to take some time. Now this is where I really wish all of you guys had a banding wheel. I might take a moment to do a little bit of smoothing down in, just like so. And if there's too much to smooth, you can use your fettling knife to just carve it off. Now this is where some of you guys wanted to have it kind of rounded on the bottom. So flat like this side, or rounded like this on this side. Right now your mug is at the plastic stage. And I'm going to remind you, the most important thing that you can get done at the plastic stage is to get the shape right. So I'm going to spend some time making the shape and giving you some pointers as I'm doing this. I'm using the spatula to get the shape that I want on the bottom of my mug. Now, you can, if you want your mug to bulge out a little bit, what you can do is you can do a sweeping motion. So what I'm going to be doing on the inside of this mug is I'm going to be pressing and lifting, pressing and lifting. So I'm just going to insert my fingers on the inside, and you can see the mug start to bulge out. This is why we made our slabs a little bit on the thicker side, so that we could go around the pot and put a little bit more interesting a shape. Now it's going to get tricky right here where the seam is. So you want to make sure you're not breaking open your seam. Just give it a little bit of extra TLC right there where the seam was. But you can see how I'm shaping my pot. Okay, now where I want it to go back in, so maybe I want a little bit of an in here. I'm going to just take and shape my piece by pushing in right there. Okay, again, most of you didn't have this quite an extreme shape. You know, if you want to really have fun with it and challenge yourself, see how round you can make your mug. Because if you work really hard at it, you can make a really round mug. As long as you have the thick slab to begin with, you can really change the shape. The part of the mug that you have to attend to before we go any further is the lip. This would not be very comfortable to drink out of. It's really thick, but also this would create a dribble mug. Do you guys all have that mug at home that every time, nobody ever uses that mug, because every time you do use the mug, what happens is that it dribbles all down the front of you. It seems to always leak out the side. And that's because it probably has too thick of a rim. The thicker the rim, the more chances you're going to have of it being a dribble mug. So we're going to soften that rim and we're going to thin it out a little bit. So see how there's two edges to that cut edge? I just want you to take a moment and pinch it out so that you no longer have two edges like this side. You just have a single edge like that side. And at this time, if you want it to flare out a little bit, you can pull it out. Now, you all designed your mug and you had a shape in mind, but I want to remind you that a good artist makes adjustments and changes based on what they see in front of them. So you're going to make some decisions at this point. I want you to take a look at the profile of your mug and decide if you like it. I feel like mine is flaring out just a little bit too much. So I'm going to take a moment to pull that flare back in. The only other thing that I need you to take care of before we wrap it up for the day is that bottom right there, the line where the side of the mug meets the bottom of the mug. There's lots of different tools that you can use to smooth that out, and the best one is back in D207. We're going to have to adapt to whatever we have in our toolbox. So I think the back end of a paintbrush would work really well to get down in there and smooth that out. So I'm taking the back end of a paintbrush and smoothing it out. You could also try the back end of your fettling knife. Get in there and smooth it out. If you can fit your finger, you can do that. Another really cool tool that you might have at home to use is an eraser. So you could use an eraser on a pencil, just like a wood modeling tool. But you want to make sure that you clean up that ring on the inside of your pot, of your mug. If you leave that ring kind of messy, what'll happen is when you go to drink out of this, is the first time it won't bother you, but you might not get that quite so clean on the bottom. Some of your hot chocolate may stay in the cracks and crevices on the bottom, and then when you go to clean it, you won't get them out completely. Bacteria will grow and it will make you sick eventually because you'll never be able to get it quite clean enough. So I want you to make sure you take the time to get that inside ring nice and neat. The inside surface texture is more important than the outside surface texture at this point. Take 3 pictures of your mug right now, one from the side, one from the top, and one from the bottom, and post them on the next slide of your slideshow. If you haven't already noticed, I've been putting comments in the notes section of your slideshow. I'm hoping that you're reading them because I'm giving people pointers on how they can improve their work. So what I want you to do is I want you to wrap it in one plastic bag, and then you'll be ready to come back and add your handle later on this week.